I have walked many roads, some in this world and some beyond it, but this road, on this morning, was given to me again. I am the one they call the Desert Father. I told Francis just after sunrise. He was standing a little apart from the others, looking south, as he often did now, toward what could not yet be seen, but was already shaping everything. I stood beside him for a moment before speaking. The animals came back, I said quietly. Yes, he replied without turning. They did. They left something behind. That made him turn. The couple, I said. They will be concerned. Francis studied my face. He did not interrupt. I will go back, I continued. Tell them what has happened. A slight wind moved across the ridge, carrying with it the scent of grass warmed by the early light. They were kind to us, I added. It is not fitting that we leave them in worry. Francis nodded slowly. Yes, he said. He understood. He always did. He had likely been praying about how to get word to them. I will return, I said, if God wills it. He gave a small, knowing smile. And if he does not, then I will remain where I am needed. Francis placed his hand briefly on my shoulder, knowing that nothing in this world could hurt me now, but also wanting our friendship to continue. This is how it is with those no longer of the world. Go then, he said, and go in peace. I did not say farewell to the others. There are departures that require words, and there are those that do not. This was the latter. The path north was quiet. Behind me, the group would soon begin walking again, descending toward the Galilean basin. Ahead of me lay the hills we had crossed just days before, and beyond them, the line men draw and God ignores. The land rose as I walked, stone underfoot, wind across open ground, the sun climbing steadily. I have walked many roads long before this journey, long before this body. I had walked the earth in a different way, with different burdens, different blindness. Now I walked again, but differently. Jesus carries his cross, I said softly into the wind. The words were familiar. We had spoken them that morning. But now they settled differently. When I walked the earth before, I had many questions that I asked, questions that felt large at the time, important, necessary. Some of them were, what are the crosses challenging me in this life? I smiled faintly. I had once believed that question meant, what suffering has been given to me? What difficulty must I endure? Now I knew better. The question is not only what has been placed upon me, but also what have I refused? The wind shifted. Do I spend my time complaining? Oh, I had, often. Not loudly, but inwardly, a quiet resistance, a subtle turning away. Do I seek ways around the cross? I had, with intelligence, with justification, with careful reasoning that made avoidance appear wise. Or do I trust? That word lingered. That was what I had aimed for. Trust is not dramatic. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. Trust walks step after step without needing to understand every turn in the road. I had to trust in the desert. That was what the desert did for me. I paused on a ridge, looked back. The land stretched out behind me. Somewhere beyond the folds of hills, the group was moving, walking, descending. Lord, I said quietly, you carried the cross before any of us understood what it meant. The wind answered, or perhaps it was something else. The border was as it had been before, unmarked in some places, obvious in others, watched but not always seen. I walked steadily, not stealthily, not hurried, not hesitant. At one point, I felt again that subtle awareness, the sense of being observed, though not by humans. I did not turn. There are moments when one knows if God has permitted a path, it is not ours to fear it. He blinds the eyes of border guards when necessary. Those who return to earth for God's purposes are not always seen. I crossed. No voice called out. No step was interrupted. And once again, I found myself in the land we had left. The village was quiet when I arrived. Mid-morning, the rhythm of daily life already underway. I found the house easily. Some things remained fixed in the memory. A doorway, a courtyard, a tree casting a particular pattern of shade. The door was open. I stepped inside. The woman turned first. She saw me and for a moment did not understand. Then she did. Her hands flew to her mouth. Where? She began. Her husband stood behind her, already moving forward. The animals, he said. They are safe, I replied, holding my hand out to comfort them. They found their way back to us. The woman exhaled, a sound that was almost a sob. Praise God, she whispered. They left early, I continued, before dawn. They were determined. The man laughed softly. Yes, he said. That one, he gestured, meaning Pearl. She is not easily persuaded. No, I said, she is not. Relief settled into the room, not loudly, but deeply. The woman reached for my hands. Thank you, she said, for coming. It was necessary, I replied. She nodded. Yes, she understood that. They insisted I stay. I did not refuse. The meal was simple: bread, olives, a stew that had been simmering slowly, tea, always tea. We sat together, no hurry, no agenda. At one point, the man asked, You travel far? Yes, to Jerusalem. He nodded slowly. That is a long road. Yes, I said, it is. And why do you go? I considered the question. There are many answers, but most are not needed. To follow Jesus, I said. He smiled. That was enough. We ate in quiet companionship. I knew that I had returned not only because of the animals, but because of what or who this couple needed. I prayed for them in silence. There are moments in life and beyond it that feel complete in themselves. This was one of them. Left in the early afternoon. The sun had begun its slow descent. The shadows lengthened slightly. I had not gone far when I saw him. He stood at the edge of the path, not waiting, not searching, simply present. There was something in his posture, a steadiness, a readiness. He looked at me, and I knew, not with certainty of fact, but with recognition. You walk south, he said. Yes. To Jerusalem? Yes. He nodded, as if confirming something already known. I will walk with you, he said. The Master has need of me. It was not a request. I inclined my head. You are welcome. We began. We walked mostly in silence. He carried nothing, no pack, no visible burden, and yet there was a strength in him that spoke of carrying. The land rose again, then fell, then opened again. At one point he asked, Do they know where they go? Some do, I replied. Some are learning. He nodded. That is enough. The sun lowered, the air softened. We approached the border. This time I did glance sideways. He did not. We crossed. No interruption. It was nearly dark when we saw them, the faint glow of firelight. Voices carried softly on the evening air. The group had stopped for the night. The descent toward Galilee had begun, the land already gentler, the air warmer. We approached quietly. Sean noticed first. Of course he did. He straightened. Hey, he said. The others turned. Francis stepped forward, his face lit with recognition. You have returned, he said. Yes, I replied. Joyce smiled warmly. Harriman nodded in quiet approval. David's eyes met mine, understanding more than words would carry. Elizabeth watched closely, always attentive, understanding how I had gotten through unseen. Maria and Lucia exchanged glances of relief. Aoife smiled. Liam looked curious. Sean, already assessing. Claire stepped forward. Her eyes moved briefly from me to the man beside me. She saw, not fully, but enough. And this? Francis asked gently. I placed a hand lightly toward my companion. This is Simon, I said. Nothing more. It was enough. The fire crackled. The stars began to appear, and the road continued.